Welcome to this explainer. We're actually going to go ahead and skip the standard agenda today because we have a truly fascinating narrative journey ahead of us. Okay, let's dive into this. We're heading straight into the heart of Uttarakhand. This is a place where soaring, ancient mythology abruptly collides with a pretty stark modern reality. Now, the ancient Sanskrit name for Uttara land literally translates to the northern land. But if you ask millions of people, it's universally revered as Devbhumi, which means the abode of the gods. And honestly, it's really not hard to see why. The geography here is absolutely breathtaking, and you've got countless ancient shrines scattered all across these high-altitude valleys. It's been a massive spiritual epicenter for literally millennia. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. A staggering 93% of Uttarakhand's total area is mountainous. 93%? It's a dramatic, towering, and incredibly rugged landscape. It naturally feels like the absolute perfect, untouched setting for some seriously epic divine mythology. On top of that, 65% of the state is completely blanketed in rich, dense forest. So we're not just talking about barren rock and ice here, right? It's a thriving ecosystem hosting some incredible biodiversity. I mean, you've got the Bengal tiger roaming around in the Jim Corbett National Park, and of course, the internationally recognized Valley of Flowers. It's an entire landscape just bursting with life and natural wonder. The sheer epic scale of Devbhumi is honestly hard to overstate. You have Chandi Devi, which, fun fact, is the highest peak located entirely within India, right alongside absolute giants like Mount Kamet and Chalkamba. But perhaps most importantly, these high-altitude glaciers are the pristine origins of two of India's most sacred and vital rivers. You have the Ganges originating at Gangotri and the Yamuna at Yamunotri. These glacial melts literally act as the lifeblood for millions and millions of people all across the country. This deep, deep connection between geography and spirituality is perfectly captured by this concept of Panch Prayag. Basically, these are the holy confluences in the Garhwal region. Think of it like this. 5 powerful mountain streams, originating from those very snow melts and glaciers we just talked about, merge into the Alaknanda River at specific points before it officially becomes the sacred Ganges River. And because these dramatic river convergences are just so physically vital to the land itself, they've naturally been sites of really intense worship and spiritual practice going all the way back to early Vedic times. All right, moving into Section 1, zooming in, Haridwar and the Maa Chandi Devi Temple. Let's take a closer look. Let's move to and see how this builds over time. This specific site has been a major spiritual magnet for over a millennium. Way back in the 8th century, the revered Saint Adi Shankaracharya is actually believed to have established the main idol right here. Then, skipping ahead a few centuries to 1929, King Suchat Singh of Kashmir constructed the current temple structure, the exact one that millions of pilgrims still visit today. And, just for a little bit of modern historical context on the region itself, it was in the year 2000 that Uttarakhand officially became the 27th state of India. Now, getting up to the temple is a physical pilgrimage in itself, right? Because it sits perched so beautifully right on top of the Neel Parvat peak. Devotees essentially have 2 routes up to the divine here. The first is the ancient trek. This is a pretty steep 3-kilometer hike up 350 stairs starting right from Chandigarh. But for those seeking a more modern alternative, there's the Udan Khatola. That's a ropeway cable car that just swiftly carries you straight to the summit. Whichever way you choose to go, once you reach that top, you are rewarded with these absolutely sweeping, breathtaking bird's-eye views of Haridwar and the sprawling Ganges River down below. Which brings us to Section 2. The mythology, defeating the demons. Okay, the legend here is absolutely epic. The story goes that 2 wildly powerful demon kings, Shumbha and Nishumbha, had actually managed to conquer Lord Indra's heaven, literally expelling the gods from their own realm. So, in response to this, Goddess Parvati assumes the incredibly fierce form of Chandi to fight back. Now, in a very strange twist of fate, the demon king Shumbha is so smitten by her beauty that he actually proposes marriage. She, as you might guess, completely refuses, so he angrily sends his generals Chanda and Munda to deal with her, but the goddess just swiftly defeats them. Ultimately, she vanquishes Shumbha and Nishumbha as well, and after this absolutely monumental battle, she rests right there on Neel Parvat. In fact, the twin peaks of the mountain itself are actually named after those defeated demons. And this incredible victory, that is exactly why the temple is revered as a highly powerful Siddha Pitha. That's a sacred place where devotees truly believe their deepest, truest desires are fulfilled.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how that ancient mythology translates directly into the physical worship space inside the temple today, because devotees actually encounter dual manifestations of the goddess. First up, there's the pillar, also known as Kam Rup. This represents her primary ferocious form that was originally established at the site. But right alongside this, there's a second, much more traditional statue representation of the goddess. It's this really fascinating duality of divine presence that pilgrims get to connect with.
That brings us to Section 3, a modern reality check, crisis in sacred spaces. We are now going to pivot pretty significantly here. We're moving from the flawless mythology of Devbhoomi to a very stark dichotomy of mandates in the real world. On the one hand, we just explored the mythological mandate, right? Goddess Chandi rooting out demons to restore purity to the heavens. But on the other hand, we see the modern mandate playing out today. We have the Uttarakhand High Court stepping in to root out alleged human transgressions within these very earthly temples. It's a really striking juxtaposition. You have this beautiful divine legend on one side, and then the very serious, highly complex legal realities currently facing the caretakers of the Chandi Devi Temple on the other. Looking neutrally at the facts, as reported from the High Court's observations, they center on Mahant Rohit Giri. He is the head priest of the Maa Chandi Devi Temple. Now, he is currently facing some severe criminal allegations. These actually stem from a complaint filed by his wife, which includes accusations of domestic disputes, a live-in relationship with another woman, having a girl child with her, and establishing a 5.5 lakh rupee fixed deposit in that woman's name. Furthermore, regarding legal action, it was reported that the Mahant was arrested by the Punjab police in May in connection with a molestation case. So the crucial point is that the court is now actively addressing these very specific, very serious allegations against the temple's chief administrator. In addressing these petitions, Justice Rakesh Taplial of the Uttarakhand High Court expressed some very serious concern over how cases like this affect the overall dignity of our religious institutions. He stated, and I quote, "At the very least, religious places such as temples, mosques, and gurudwaras should remain free from such activities." The court made a point to note that the rising number of cases against individuals associated with temple and ashram management is alarming. It's something that is deeply concerning for the general faith of the public. To enforce accountability and try to preserve the sanctity of these spaces, the High Court hasn't just commented, they've issued some concrete directives. First, the district administration has been explicitly ordered to start conducting surprise inspections of these facilities. Second, there is now a strict mandate for the ongoing monitoring of the management systems of both temples and ashrams. And finally, the court has directed the Badrinath Kedarnath Temple Committee to step up and ensure proper, rigorous oversight of the functioning of the concerned temple trust. Which brings us to a rather profound closing thought today. As we look up to the towering, absolutely pristine peaks of Devbhoomi, we're really left with a vital question. How do we ensure the dignity of its temples actually matches the majesty of its mountains? The extreme geography of Uttarakhand naturally inspires this incredible spiritual devotion. But as the High Court's recent actions clearly show, it is ultimately up to human stewardship to maintain the purity and the ethics of the institutions built upon those peaks. It's a complex, ongoing balancing act between divine mythology and very earthly responsibility. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning and keep learning.